Another important thing is, see, this non-duality, it's not really a teaching. I would say it's an outpouring. It's when you're a being is in this, you can say, state where the consciousness has recognized itself, and then it starts speaking, like the Ashtavakra Gita, and there's a couple of them. My memory's not good with words that are hard to pronounce and remember. I've been in Ecuador for 7 years, and I still only know survival Spanish, but I'm good with it. These beings, how are you going to learn this stuff? How are you going to learn non-duality? There's no form, there's no self, there's no consciousness. Some beings even say there's no consciousness. How are you going to learn that? You can't learn that. The only thing that will happen is the mind will take it'll just be information, and then it'll just stay in your head. It doesn't trickle down and you can say explode in your being to where you're actually living that. There's beings that are living this that don't even talk about it. They don't even know about it. Like there's some simple villagers, you can say, in India and other places, Thailand also, fully awake, but only somebody else would be saying that. You ask them, they don't even, they just smile. Say, man, everything's good. Like, I don't know. So this process has to happen organically. And you can't, there's no way somebody can just read or listen to non-duality and then have the spiritual experience and realization of what these words are pointing to, unless they're already there. They're like 99% there. You could step in a hole and break your ankle, and then that could create some awakening, So if you're already there, yeah. But that's not the case. That's not the case for what I see at all in these groups. And that's the danger, is the mind will take this teaching and think that the intellectual grasp on it is the same as having the actual experience. But they'll lack the vibration. When they speak, you just kind of want to go to sleep or get away. Unless you're also identified mentally, and then you might like it. But then you probably have some kind of duo of who knows more. There's a lot of that going down. Neither one really knows anything, so therefore the ego needs somebody to acknowledge that the other, that I know. It's like inside I feel like I don't really know. So if I'm talking in a spiritual group, then I need you to confirm that I know something. And how do I get that? By beating you with my spiritual jargon and seeing a surrender take place. Like if I saw in the other person's face, like, oh wow, then I can be like, yeah. This is happening, man. Like it's very subtle and it's invisible. I exaggerate so I can give the illustration, but this is happening. Pay attention if you're in such groups, if you notice this. This is the last level. Self-inquiry, non-duality. This is the last level stuff. For those, we got to work our way through, you can say, the spiritual evolutionary karmic process to get to that point to where it's like, okay, now these teachings, non-dual teachings and self-inquiry, it can just finish us off because we've went through the levels. Well, how do you know? How do you know if you're ready for it or not? You already know. Now, the fact of the matter is, if you found these teachings, somehow that's not a mistake either. And I'm not saying like turn away from these teachings. They found you somehow. It speaks to you. You're more of a Gani or Avaduta by nature, meaning you're not so bhakti or devotional. So these and you didn't choose that. It's already been downloaded. That's your archetype. I hope my recording's okay. That's your archetype. You can't do nothing about it. So that's okay. You continue to listen to the teachings, but at the same time, intuitively, listen like inside. Do you need to also do something else? Do you feel to go to Vipassana meditation for 10 days? Do you have that inner feeling to do that, but your mind saying, oh, but it doesn't, I don't need to do that. I'm already awake. Vipassana doesn't exist, non-duality, blah, blah, blah. See? Intuition will tell you what you need to do so that this true awakening that non-duality is pointing to can happen more easily. See, intuition is, you got to listen to it. It's preparing us for like so-called final darshan, even though, like I made a video before, I don't think there's any finality, because that would, experience would finish at that point. But you get to where you're pretty good. Let's say like that. So if it's guiding you to do something, go do that. If it's moving you to take on a certain diet, because that will, I've talked a little about that. That will make this body more balanced and organize your energies better, so that then these pointings can be assimilated better. Listen to that voice. Don't just, but the food, there's no food, no body to get the food, So your intuition will guide you. If you feel like you're blocked on some level in this journey, listen to what the intuition's saying. And it may not be saying anything. It may be just saying, just forge ahead, just keep going. Just keep going, try to be more aware of when the ego self is expressing itself, and when attention's going into that, versus when your attention is, you can say, unconsciousness or gets absorbed by consciousness. Pay attention to those. That's a spiritual practice. Don't that's going to continue to go on. Any great, authentic, true master is not going to tell you that the spiritual practice is finished. Papaji even said, somebody asked him, like, do you still have to be vigilant on with your sadhana? And he says, every day, all the time. And he's not lying. He's not saying that so then he's not trying to, it's not a manipulation thing where he's like saying that to the person so that they continue. No. What happens is the vigilance starts to happen automatically, though. You start to be, it's always happening automatically. It's just we imagine, because our identity is so strong, we think we're doing it. That separation's still there. That there's a me that's being vigilant to recognize myself. That's actually happening automatically. That gets more deeply realized at some point. There's still a even at that point, there's still a sensation and a feeling that there's a separate me that's recognizing myself, but that's cool. We need duality to have that experience. It feels good. It feels good when there's, Muji did something with his fingers like this. He says, the highest joy is when we're just doing like this. You know what he means by that? The human ego duality construct self is just putting its attention on the non-dual pure consciousness self. And that's great. That's like, what a gift to be able to do that, All right, hope that helped you. Let me know if you have any questions or anything. See you.